Taiwan's steely leader rewrote the book on how to deal with China. It's a well-known fact that the diminutive, soft-spoken president of Taiwan does not like doing interviews. It takes months of quiet negotiations to sit down at Tsai Ing-wen's dining table on her Taipei residence not long before she leaves the office after 8 years and hands over to her successor, William Lai. Even so, the president seems keener to ask about me than talk about herself. She's certainly more comfortable showing us her cat and dogs than answering questions in front of a rolling camera. That's Xiang Xiang, she says, pointing to the large gray tabby eyeing me suspiciously through the open doorway. Would you like to meet her? When Tsai Ing-wen swapped power in 2016, she was dismissed as the dual bureaucrat and ridiculed as the cat lady, a swipe at her for being middle-aged and unmarried. She embraced the image appearing on magazine covers, holding Shang Shang on her arms. Soon her supporters adopted a new sobriquet, Taiwan's Iron Cat Lady. Xiang Xiang became a celebrity after Tsai appeared with her on magazine covers. Tsai admitted to the sneaking admiration for Margaret Thatcher, although she's quick to add it is because of her toughness as the female leader, not her social policies. In Tsai Ing-wen, Taiwan found a likely champion during her 2 terms. She carefully yet confidently reset the relationship with Beijing, which has claimed the independently governed Iceland as its own for 75 years. She stood up to the increasingly authoritarian and aggressive China under Xi Jinping. She held on to the vital U.S. alliance under Donald Trump and buttressed it under Joe Biden. At home, she expanded the Iceland defense and legalized same-sex marriage, the latter a first for Asia, while Tsai shielded away from the spotlight in Taiwan's boisterous politics. Shang Shang became the celebrity. She played a starring role in Tsai's 2020 re-election campaign along with the president's other cat, the ginger Tom called Tsai. Tsai has her detractors. Beijing is no fun, and neither are the many older Taiwanese who want better relations with China, where they have family and business interests. Domestically, she has been criticized for not doing enough for the economy, the rising cost of living, unaffordable housing, and the lack of jobs cost her party young voters in January elections. And her biggest critics fear that she has made the island of 23 billion more rather than less unsafe. Put crudely, that is what any Taiwan leader faces, a much bigger, wealthier, and stronger neighbor who says he owns your house, is willing to let you hand it over without a fight, but is ready to use force if you refuse. What do you do? To sign with Lily, her Jack Russell Terrier. Um, Tsai's predecessor Ma Ying-jeou chose conciliation and a Beijing-friendly trade deal, but he miscalculated how young Taiwanese would react to what they saw as appeasement. In 2014, thousands took to the streets in what became known as the Sunflower Movement. When President Ma refused to back down, they occupied the parliament. 2 years later, Tsai Ing-wen was elected on very different calculus that the only language Beijing understands is strength. Now, as she prepared to step down, she says she has been vindicated. Beijing has become so aggressive and assertive. Dear Beijing, back up. Wow, you're really tall, the president exclaimed, craning her neck at the lanky young soldier standing stiffly to attention. He tells her she is 185 centimeter, and she asked with a genuine concern, "Are the beds here big enough for you?" They are, he reassured her. This was a recent morning in April at the new Special Forces Training Center on the outskirts of Taipei, which Tsai had just opened. The relaxed and chatty president disappeared when she enters the cavernous dining hall, where hundreds of crew cut recruit to stand to the attention and shouted, "Zhong Tong Hao," or "Hello, President." She almost looked out of place in these settings. Her speech is worthy and matter of fact, with no soaring rhetoric, and yet such visits are quite frequent to make sure the military reforms she has pushed through the paying off. One of the most difficult was the return to a year of military service for all men over the age of 18. While she admitted it is not popular, she says the public accept it is necessary, but we have to make sure that their time spent in the military is worthwhile. The Tsai Ing-wen hosted a delegation of drag queens, including RuPaul's Drag Race winner Taiwanese American Nimbia Wind, or her presidential office. The former law professor and trade negotiator, Tsai has spent a surprisingly large amount of time as president donning camouflage fatigues. In one famous image, she's been shouldering a rocket launcher, the reason she believes that Taiwan cannot hope to fend off Beijing without a modern, well-trained military in which young Taiwanese are proud to serve. While China's threat of invasion is not new, it is only recent that President Xi Jinping has gained a military capability to mount what would still be a huge and risky operation. His threats have also become more urgent and ominous. He has said twice that the resolution over Taiwan cannot be passed down from the one generation to another, which some have interpreted to mean that he wants it done in his lifetime. On the other side of the strait, Tsai has said about rebuilding Taiwan's outdated, demoralized, and ill-equipped ground forces. It has been an uphill struggle, but result has begun to show. Yearly defense spending has risen significantly to about $20 billion, 16 billion pound. Our military capability is much strengthened compared to 8 years ago. The investment we spent to put into military capacity is unprecedented, Tsai says. The Tsai has the long involvement in Taiwanese politics. This is from 2008. I have spoken to many in Taiwan's opposition who genuinely believe Tsai's strategy of building up the military is naive, if not dangerous. They point to China's powerful navy and the world's largest and more than 2 million active troops. Taiwan's forces are not even a tenth of that. To Tsai and her supporters, that is missing the point. Taiwan is not trying to defeat the Chinese invasion, they say, but dramatically increasing its price to deter China. The cost of taking over Taiwan is going to be enormous, Tsai says. So what we need to do is increase the cost. Tsai was no stranger to Beijing or the Chinese Communist Party. When they became president, her unorthodox rise to power began in the mid 1990s when she cut her teeth as the trade negotiator. She then caught the eye of Chen Shui-bian, the first president from the pro-independence Democratic Progress Party called the DPP. He appointed her to run Taiwan's top body for dealing with China. There she rewrote the book on how Taiwan should handle Beijing. She has long known where the red line are, and she believes that to resist China, Taiwan needs allies. So strengthening our military capacity is one, and working with our friends in the region to form the collective deterrence is another. The many intersized party, the DPP, now talk of a new alliance that stretched from Japan and South Korea to the north through the Philippines to Australia in the south, with the US as a quarterback holding the team together. But this is theoretical at best. There is no Asian NATO, and Taiwan enjoys no former military alliances, despite a mutual antipathy towards Beijing. Tokyo and Manila are both deeply reluctant to bow support for Taiwan. Even their most important ally, Washington, has stopped short of guaranteeing it would put boots on the ground. But Tsai is optimistic. A lot of other countries in the region are alert, and some of them may have the conflict with China, she says, referring to rival claims by Beijing, Tokyo, and Manila over disputed waters and Iceland. So China is not an issue for Taiwan only, it is an issue for the whole region. The power of soft power. Painting painting China as the big bad bully is not hard for Taiwan president. The thicker job is to find allies who would risk arcing the world's second largest economy, and that's why Taiwan leads such an increasingly lonely diplomatic existence. In the last decade, China has put the squeeze on many of the island allies who still recognize it. Only 12 remain now, most of them tiny Pacific island and Caribbean microstates. Tsai believes the way out of this diplomatic isolation is to build an alliance with what she calls like-minded democracies. To that end, she hosted dozens of parliamentary delegations from all over the world, a loophole for meeting foreign dignitaries from countries that don't see Taiwan as one. Last month, I attended the Holocaust Memorial Day. Um, there was music and poetry and an impassioned speech to never forget by the representative from Germany. There are also more unusual events. Earlier this week, while Xi Jinping was getting ready to welcome Vladimir Putin in Beijing, Tsai Ing-wen hosted a drag performance by Taiwanese American Nimbia World. That this is probably the first presidential office in the world to host a drag show, Nimbia reported told Tsai. Both are examples of a brand Taiwan, a democracy that the world should care about losing. People say we are more important than Ukraine. Strategically, our position is more important and our place in the supply chain, and that they should shift support to Taiwan. We say no. The democratic countries need to support Ukraine, Tsai says. Rather than Taiwan's widely successful chip industry, which could be replicated, instead Tsai willed the one thing she has and the Chinese Communist Party doesn't support soft power of democracy. In the run-up to January election, the rainbow flag was heard to miss at every DPP rally. In Taiwan, we are free to live how we choose. We could not do we could not do this. We couldn't do this in China, one couple told me. It is a remarkable change from when I was the student here more than 30 years ago. Taiwan was still emerging from 4 decades of military rule. I remembered a great gay friend desperately looking for a way to get to America. Back then, if you were found to be homosexual during your military service, you could get thrown in jail or the psychiatric ward. That changes, but the Ing-wen government went further than any in Asia when it pushed it through registration legalizing same-sex marriage in 2019. A little over half of the population still opposed it. Some, including church and family groups, ran a vociferous campaign against it. It was the big political risk and the one that could have cost her a re-election. Tsai calls it a very difficult journey, but one she saw as necessary. It tested to society to see to what extent we could move forward with our values. I'm actually rather proud that we managed to overcome our differences. uh, 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 Taiwan is still conservative and patriarchal. I asked Tsai if she's worried it might return to being a boy clubs once the Iceland first female president, stepped down. I have a lot of opinions about the boy club, she says, but does not elaborate. The Iceland strength, in her opinion, is its mixed heritage. It's a society of immigrants. The Chinese came in many waves, sometimes countries apart, and they joined hundreds of thousands of indigenous peoples. In such a society, there are a lot of challenges, Tsai says. People are less bound by the traditions. The main goal is to survive as a society. This is why we have been able to move from the authoritarian age to democracy. And that is why she hoped that Taiwan's most important alliance with the world's most powerful country and the democracy will last no matter who makes it to the White House after November. Best friends forever? After Donald Trump's stunning victory in 2016, Tsai Ing-wen ran to congratulate him, and she was put through. No U.S. president since Jimmy Carter had taken a call from President of Taiwan. Tsai has described the call as short but intimate and wide-ranging. The truth is, Trump is a wild card for Taiwan. He's criticized the Iceland for stealing America's semiconductor industry, but as Tsai pointed out, he has also approved more arms shipment to Taipei than any of his predecessors, but she doesn't want to discuss him or the possibility of his return to the Oval Office. Tsai Ing-wen celebrated after winning Taiwan's 2016 presidential election. What she does want to emphasize is the perception of a growing China threat. The rest of the world is telling China that you cannot use military means against Taiwan. No unilateral action is allowed, and no non-peaceful means is allowed. And I think China get message, she says. That might be wishful thinking. There have been no noticeable decrease in military pressure. Rather, China regularly sends dozens of military aircraft and ships across the median line that divides the waters and the airspace of the Taiwan Strait. In 2022, Beijing declared that it no longer recognizes what was effectively the border. The trigger was the one of the Tsai's Democratic Corps. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's historic visit in 2022 was celebrated in the Taiwan starved of international recognition. But China was furious, firing ballistic missiles over the island and into the Pacific Ocean for the first time ever. It was warning. Even some inside Tsai's own in the administration worried quietly that the Pelosi's visit had been a mistake. We've been isolated for a long time, she says. We just cannot say no to visit like that of Speaker Pelosi. Of course, it comes with risk. You can feel the tension in her voice. Her opponent say Pelosi's visit was reckless and left Taiwan more exposed. Even President Biden is thought to have opposed the trip. But Tsai says this is the line Taiwan must walk. I had to turn the party of a revolutionary into a party of power, Tsai Ing-wen says of her time at the DPP's helm. When she took over, she was the economics graduate leading a party of older male radicals who had spent her early lives fighting for Taiwan independence or behind the bars for it. There is no need for Taiwan to hold a referendum or declare independence, she says, because it is already in the independent, sovereign nation. We are on our own. We make our own decisions. We have a political system to govern this place. We have a constitution. We have laws. We have a military. We think that we are country and we have all the elements of a state. What we are waiting for, she says, is for the world to recognize it.